In this video, I'll demonstrate how to fabricate a hinge for your access door from this raw material that you can get from stores or from your instructor. It's easy to cut this hinge using a regular pair of snips. You'll want to trim off a section for a 2.5-inch finished product. You want to have at least 3 tangs of a hinge with about half of the material on each side. Like that would be an ideal piece to cut. So here we've got some already cut on this raw material. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 and cut this tang in half. One, 2, 3, and I'll be cutting right here, this tang in half. And that's going to give me the desired piece, as you can see here, that I've got. To cut the hinge pin, you'll want to make the piece of hinge pin slightly smaller than the hinge that you have a finished product, which is 2.5 inches. So let's cut the hinge pin at 2 3/8 of an inch. So you measure out 2 3/8 on the hinge. Pin itself, mark it. Clamp this in a vise. For demonstration purposes, it can be cut with a hacksaw that does a good job, or you can use a powered die grinder to cut it off. After it has been cut, don't forget to file the end flat, and by rotating it in your fingers and running a smooth file over it, that'll remove any burrs. You don't want to sharpen it, just remove the sharp burrs from it so it's not dangerous. So you should end up with a piece of hinge pin that is 2 3/8 inches long, is nice and rounded on both ends, and no burrs. You take your 2 pieces of hinge that you have trimmed, and for demonstrations here, I put them together like this so you can see that you'll have to cut this edge of the tang off and the blue section there and this one over here to match. What you'll end up with is a piece of hinge which has 3 tangs on one side and 3 tangs on the other side, and the hinge pin in the middle, which is slightly shorter than the hinge itself. This section of hinge should be radiused so that it would fit into your access door doubler, because this is where that hinge will end up, right here. And you'll want to have it so that you can leave a little gap in here. So just so it's about a 50 thou gap or less than 50 thou gap radius, the 2 corners, so it fits nice and snug in there. And that's how you can determine the length of your hinge trim to size. Another point about this is what holds the hinge pin in. As the aircraft is flying along and vibrating, the hinge pin can come out. I'll demonstrate that on the vise here. All you do, put your hinge pin on the vise like that, take yourself a hammer, and we're going to peen down the end, just a light blow on the end on an angle like that, just so it's striking on an angle, and it peens down the end of the hinge, so now the hinge pin can no longer fall out. You can vibrate it all you want and it won't fall out. When you got your hinge like this, we're going to drill the holes in it. So flipping it over, you can see here I've done a layout halfway between the edge of the hinge here and the inboard edge here. Halfway that distance, draw a line, come in 2D from both edges, and then evenly space the 2 other hinge attached rivets. When you're going to drill this, it's not a bad idea, if you want to drill it right off the bat, is to put another piece of material 40 to 50 thou between the 2 layers like this here, and you can drill right through, and that'll transfer the holes. So you end up with a hinge with all the holes in it. Lay that in your doubler, lay the door on top, transfer those holes to the skin and to the door when the time comes, And you have a nice fabricated hinge in accordance with the drawings. That's all there really is to fabricating a hinge for your access door.